Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Duke It Out Wrestling Podcast, where I, Duke, talk about events from the past, present, or future in the world of professional wrestling. Now, I'm here to predict this Saturday's biggest party of the summer, SummerSlam, that I'm luckily able to attend at Ford Field in Detroit, since I am from Michigan. And I am so excited to attend this event. WWE hasn't done a show at Ford Field, or a stadium show in general in Michigan, since WrestleMania 23, and I was not an active wrestling fan at that point. I think I was about 10 years old at that time, so even regardless, I probably would have hardly been able to remember anything from that event. So I am so excited to go to the show. It should be a blast. Almost all the matches look good to fantastic, and there are a couple of issues that have already been discussed by a lot of other wrestling YouTube channels about the SummerSlam card, especially with the fact that most especially women's matches have been cut from this pay-per-view or premium live event. Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus seemed to be a match that was a lock-in for SummerSlam, but instead they did an angle match on Raw, and their rematch is going to be in Canada. An episode of Raw in Canada, I believe. And then Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez seemed like that was going to be the plan for SummerSlam after Rhea Ripley injured Liv Morgan. But then Raquel Rodriguez got kayfabe injured on Raw, so it seems like that match is off the books. And Rhea Ripley's even liked some tweets that were talking about how she has every right to be pissed that she's not on the card. So that's definitely an issue, and hopefully that gets resolved further down the line. And I'm guessing it was only because they were afraid that it was just going to be too long of a show, because especially with their bigger shows, they have to trim down the matches, especially now that WrestleMania is 2 nights. They're not going to do the same thing for SummerSlam. So they wanted to stick with 8 matches, and I was pretty sure they were wanting to have 9 matches, but I'm pretty sure they're probably going to use that match time that they would have had for a 9th match and give us a Grayson Waller segment, which a lot of people have been basically thinking that's going to be the big segment for SummerSlam, and I'm kind of thinking that's what it'll be too. And because he's had the segment with John Cena at Money in the Bank, and then he had the segment with Edge at Madison Square Garden, so it seems like it's going to follow a tradition with some certain legends in the world of WWE. And I personally really hope it's the return of Randy Orton. I think that would be terrific timing for it, but with the news that doctors have told Randy he shouldn't be coming back, we don't know for sure, but I would love to see Randy Orton return at SummerSlam. I think that would be awesome. Or be like a collective, like all the people that have come out to face Grayson Waller along with one other person. If both Cena and Edge came out, I think that would be really, really cool. Or if Orton returns, Edge can also like introduce him, so it could be a mini rated RKO reunion that we didn't get since they immediately had a feud when Edge returned in 2020. But anyway, now on to the actual card for SummerSlam. I'm going to pull up the list of matches, and I especially need to look over this because I want to make sure I have all the confirmed participants correct for the Slim Jim SummerSlam Battle Royal. Now, they pretty much, I figured, only added this match to get a lot of other people on the card, and for who I'm predicting is going to win this match, or hopefully is going to win this match, they wanted to put in this Battle Royal to give this certain star a win on the SummerSlam card, because if he didn't, fans would get pissed. So far, the confirmed participants in this Battle Royal are Chad Gable, Otis, Shinsuke Nakamura, Tommaso Ciampa, Sheamus, and LA Knight. And obviously, if LA Knight does not win this Battle Royal, then fans are going to be extremely pissed off, and they have every right to be. Fans were getting teased hardcore that LA Knight was going to win the Money in the Bank briefcase, and he didn't. Even though Damian Priest was a great choice to win, definitely a lot of fans were pissed. And in that Fatal 4-Way recently on SmackDown for the #1 contendership for the U.S. title, it seemed like LA Knight versus Austin Theory for the U.S. title was going to be a confirmed match for SummerSlam, but now it seems like Austin Theory is also one of the people that also got cut from SummerSlam. And because it seems like they might even just do the U.S. title match with him and Santos Escobar on SmackDown, because they've hardly done any big booking for it, and because most people have been talking about that, if whether or not Rey Mysterio's injury in that match was real or if it was for story. But I digress. LA Knights should be winning this Battle Royal. I'm going to be very surprised if someone else wins this Battle Royal. And if anyone does, it probably would be someone in the star caliber like Sheamus, unless it was a big return, which then maybe fans would give a good reason for that if LA Knight didn't win, but come on. LA Knight has to win this Battle Royal. Yeah. And now, next match I'll get into is Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler in an MMA rules match. Now, for a good chunk of the year, for any Ronda Rousey match, for some wrestling fans, they'd be like, well, not too interested. But this is the most enticing Ronda Rousey match that she's ever had in WWE, in my opinion. And there's the heavy rumors that this is going to be her last match in WWE. Very ironic, huh? But this feud has been booked so well, and I really have to give the company props for that. And both Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler for working this feud so well to build it up over the past few weeks to a month. Now, the turn from Shayna at Money in the Bank got me very excited because I've been a very big fan of Shayna Baszler since her start in NXT. And when she was called up to the main roster and was immediately destroyed with losing to Becky Lynch at WrestleMania, it really did kill her momentum, and she really never had as much of a dominant run since. And that always kind of angered me because I always knew Shayna Baszler could be doing better, and now this feud is the prime example why I've been thinking that. The promos that she's been cutting on Ronda Rousey have been amazing, and it's even been able to give Ronda Rousey a couple of good promos as well. She's been famously bad at promos for the past few years, and those vignettes that they were showing on Raw were also fantastic, really trying to balance out who the real babyface or heel of this feud is, and they're kind of just leaving it up to interpretation of the fans because I feel like they wanted to just be more so that way because I think they didn't really want to confirm that Ronda Rousey's the heel in this for some reason, mainly just because of the fact that she's Ronda Rousey, but they were really adding in a good balance between that. And like Shayna Baszler bringing like the sympathetic side where she was like she doesn't want Ronda Rousey's kid to see her mother get hurt that way. She does love Ronda Rousey's kid. I thought that was a really good ad. All of that has been terrific, and I feel like this match is going to be very personal, very hard-hitting, and we're going to see some very cool stuff in here. Especially with the MMA rules, I don't really know what they're really going to add to that. Because I can't imagine they're gonna lift up the ring and bring down a fucking octagon. So it's probably just gonna more so be they have MMA gloves on, they just have a certain attire, and maybe the ref has a different ref outfit on just for the MMA rules. And I remember people mentioned they wanted, I think the UFC ring announcer, I don't know his name, I'm not a big UFC guy, so I'm sorry about that. But I heard a lot of people wanting the UFC ring announcer to make the announcement for this match. And I think that would be a terrific touch, and it would be an awesome SummerSlam moment for sure. But for as who is going to win this match, I mentioned this in my We Need to Talk About video for Ronda Rousey a few weeks ago, that usually when people have their final match, they usually put someone over to let that win over a certain popular superstar when they're leaving the company and let that momentum carry them for the next years to come, for however long they're in the company. And I think Shayna Baszler really, really needs that push. And if she beats Ronda Rousey clean in an MMA rules match at SummerSlam, it's going to skyrocket her career. And the women's division always can need a dominant heel. And I think Shayna Baszler is the best contender that you can have for that on your roster. And Rhea Ripley is also top contender for that as well. But I also would love to see, I could also just more so imagine a gigantic babyface run from Rhea Ripley somewhere down the line as well, as opposed to Shayna Baszler, but we never really know. I'm really excited to see how this match goes, and I really do hope that Shayna Baszler walks out with the win here because she definitely deserves it. And next match that I'll get into, if making sure this all loads up, the next match I'll get into is Ricochet versus Logan Paul. Now, they have been building this match up technically since the Royal Rumble with their gigantic springboard collision moment in the Royal Rumble this year. And that was a really cool moment. And then at Money in the Bank, they had that Spanish Fly sort of botch over the table where it looked like Logan landed on his head on the table and he did cut up his shoulder or something, which was pretty fucking crazy. But it seemed like they built that into more of a further angle for them at SummerSlam, which I think was a really good idea. And it's been decent build-up. The only thing I've been kind of bummed out about it is because I'm a huge fan of Ricochet, And I have been for many, many years. And I feel like this feud isn't going to be boosting his momentum as much as it could. And that's especially because Ricochet isn't the best promo. And for a feud like this, they've been giving him a lot of mic time, which is really good, but a couple of the promos he's had for this feud have been pretty stale. And Logan Paul's promos were like, and I'm not a big Logan Paul fan at all, really, but he has been cutting some really good promos, and his promos got a lot better than they did in this feud with Roman Reigns. And all of his matches have been good, and it's fucking annoying. So, and Logan Paul has been seeming to outshine Ricochet in every segment, even when Ricochet is getting the upper hand in that segment. And that's not a good look. And I feel like that would be not as bad of an outcome if Ricochet for sure ends up winning this match, but I don't think that's going to happen. I would think so if Logan Paul had won a match since his SummerSlam match against The Miz. But every single match that he's been a part of ever since his match at SummerSlam last year, it's been an L. So they're probably going to try and give him another win here, and it seems like Ricochet is going to be the man to take it. And oh god, if they start a fucking undefeated streak for Logan Paul at SummerSlam, oh no. But this should be a really fucking fun match. The spot should be insane. They're probably going to do something else insane that we're not going to be expecting whatsoever until we're fucking seeing it for ourselves. And it should be a very fun match, but Logan Paul is probably going to be getting the win here. My heart says Ricochet. My brain says Logan Paul. And next match that I'll get into, I'll talk about the last of the non-title matches before I get into any of the actual title matches for SummerSlam. And I'm pretty sure this is the last one. Cody Rhodes versus Brock Lesnar. The third match in the Cody versus Brock trilogy. This feud has been fine. It seems like it's just been more so of a let's throw these two together because they're both big stars and they need to do something with Cody since they don't want to do the rematch with Roman immediately. So they just been having a feud with Brock. They had Brock Lesnar attack him on Raw for no reason, and they to this day haven't really explained why Brock attacked Cody. There was just the suggestion that Brock was jealous of Cody's success, but that's really been about it. But what's even more confusing with this is that for this supposed final match in their trilogy, since it seems like that's what they're planning, Cody won the first at Backlash, and then Brock won the second at Night of Champions, and now for the rubber match, it's going to seem like the clear winner of this match is going to be the clear winner of this feud. But why did they make this a stipulation? Especially because their first two matches were singles matches, and usually for a final match to close everything off, they want a big stipulation to make the final match in that series or trilogy more big. And I remembered in the beginning, I was really hoping that this match was going to be a dog collar match because, one, Cody's dog collar match with Brody Lee was phenomenal, and two, I think Brock Lesnar could work a dog collar match incredibly well. And it seemed like Cody might have been campaigning for it, but it seemed like he got the disapproval from the company to do it. And even regardless, I feel like maybe they'll announce it day of, or at least I hope so at this stage. They should just have this be a straight up no disqualification match or something like that, so we can really have some fun spots on the outside with weapons, because this feud has really gotten to the point where they really just need to beat the shit out of each other. And it's not like they haven't in their other matches, but it's like there's only so much you can do with a singles match compared to a match that has no rules. And maybe they didn't want to do it because they've already got the MMA rules match and they got the tribal combat main event, which I'll discuss in a little bit, but I don't think it really would have mattered. Regardless, I think this should get a stipulation. But even if it doesn't, there's still probably going to be some extreme spots in there. Either the ref getting knocked down or the ref just says, fuck it, do what you want. But this should be pretty fun. I don't really know if this is going to be amazing or not. This could go to those standards because Cody and Brock are both phenomenal. But I haven't been that big a fan of either one of their matches. They haven't been bad by any means, but definitely none of them have been one of the best matches of Brock or Cody's careers, for sure. And they've just been good matches for this feud that's just there. And I really hope that this really makes this entire feud worth it. Brings more of a reason to why they're on their fucking third match this year. And hopefully it brings a really good win for Cody so he can continue his story and finish it potentially at WrestleMania 40 against Roman. We'll see. But Cody should be the winner of this feud because, and like we mentioned with most Brock Lesnar feuds, Cody's going to be the one returning to Raw, coming back on Raw the next day, and Brock is probably not going to be coming back till Survivor Series or the Royal Rumble. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. And for the first title matches that I'll be talking about is the only women's match on this card, which is crazy to me, but it is Asuka defending her WWE Women's Championship against Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair. Now, this triple threat should be amazing. Just those three alone already guaranteed a great match right there. And since they're only having one women's match on this card, at least this women's match could have the potential to knock all of the other matches out of the park. And I really do hope that could be the case, especially because of the fact that they've cut 2 women's matches from this card. I really hope this does, and they do give this match a lot of time, and it turns out to be one of the best women's matches of the year, if not the best women's match of the year, potentially. But I do feel bad for Asuka when it comes to this match because it definitely seems like they've been focusing this feud more so on Charlotte Flair and Bianca Belair, which in retrospect, it makes sense. They're arguably the 2 biggest women's wrestlers in WWE, probably alongside Becky Lynch. And having those 2 feud is a big blockbuster match. But since you're also having a third person in this match, and not only a third person, fucking Asuka, who is arguably better than both of them in retrospects, you really should be building this up as all 3 of them being super incredible in the ring and how intense this is going to be and unpredictable the outcome will be. But I'm still thinking it's going to be a very intense match. I do wonder what they're really going to do with it, if they're going to start a new heel run for Bianca Belair this quickly, or if they're just going to give another run for Charlotte to add to her title resume. So to try and tie Ric Flair's 16 title reigns. So I guess we'll see, but I think I'm going to more so lean toward Asuka. She'll get the win by Bianca and Charlotte getting way too heated with just each other, and then Asuka will take advantage. But also, in a sense, I'm thinking it's not really going to matter. Asuka could win the match in the end, or Io Sky could come out before the match is even over to cash it in for a fatal 4-way. But I think if Io Sky is going to cash in, and in my opinion, I think she is going to cash in at SummerSlam, especially since Bayley's injured and we don't know if that feud can continue or not, why not just have Io Sky cash in right now and start an amazing Women's World Championship run? I'd be totally down for it, and it would be awesome, and having an immediate match with Asuka would be incredible. And I think Io Sky is going to cash in her Money in the Bank contract and walk out of SummerSlam with the Women's World Championship. I think it would be awesome, but we'll see what happens. Not the Women's World Championship, that's Rhea Ripley, the WWE Women's Championship. That whole thing is so confusing for the title names right now. But the third to last title match that I'll be getting into is what I think could potentially be the match of the night, or almost a guarantee for match of the night. Gunþi versus Drew McIntyre. Now, I am so excited for this fucking match, especially if we're going to get any shades of what we had at WrestleMania with Gunþi and Drew McIntyre and Sheamus at WrestleMania, then this is going to be a fucking banger of a match and an easy potential contender for one of the best Intercontinental Championship matches of all time. Gunþi has had Gunþi, I always try to do the loud announcement name, but I always fucking suck at it. But I am so excited for how this match is going to be, and I'm so excited to be seeing Gunþi as such a dominant Intercontinental Champion. And if he does win this match, it's pretty much a guarantee that he is going to become the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time, finally beating off the Honky Tonk Man after nearly 30 years. So if that does happen, that would be incredible, but also at the same time, I'm a big Drew McIntyre fan, and I would love to see him win this match. So it is very unpredictable, and I've always been wondering if it's going to end up with Sheamus being the one to dethrone Gunþi after their incredible match at Clash at the Castle last year, but regardless, this is going to be an incredible match with insane near falls, stiff fucking strikes that are going to make me super uncomfortable, and I cannot wait to see how this plays out. And this is going to be my guess is what's going to be match of the night. And as for who's going to win, it's going to be another heart versus brain scenario. My heart does say Drew McIntyre, but my brain says Gunþi. But my heart would also be okay with Gunþi winning too, because Gunther's fucking amazing. But moving on. The second to last title match is the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match between Seth Rollins and Finn Bálor. 7 years in the making. They had the first ever WWE Universal Championship match at SummerSlam 2016, which Finn Bálor had won, and now we'll see what happens here. They're in much different stages than they were at that point. When Finn Bálor won that world title, he got injured during that match, and after he had to vacate that title, he has never been in that kind of a position in the main roster ever since. So this is a very exciting match. They've been mainly building this up with the fact that they already have so much history together, which is fair, and especially with how many matches they've already had against each other, there's really so much you can do to add a really new story with this. And they've really been trying to balance that unpredictability out with the fact that Damian Priest, a co-member of the Judgment Day with Finn Bálor, has the Money in the Bank briefcase. So regardless if Finn Bálor does beat Seth Rollins for the World Heavyweight Championship, Damian Priest could immediately cash in on him and take that world title away from Finn Bálor, just like it had happened to him 7 years ago. So it's a very unpredictable match, and I think just with that story base alone, there's going to be intensity, but I really hope there's not too much Damian Priest interference or just him walking around the ring a bunch. I really hope they don't do that, especially because they were doing that a lot with their match at Money in the Bank, and I think that was especially what made that match suffer a bit from not being as good as it could have been, and definitely shortened out the time for it, because I think that match ended up being around 10 to 12 minutes long, and I really hope they get at least a 15-minute match here, because we know that they can work a really, really amazing match together, especially if you give them more time, and I think that's going to be a very, very fun match, but I've been going really back and forth on whether or not I think Seth is going to retain or if Finn Bálor is finally going to get his redemption world title victory after 7 fucking years. I've been back and forth a bunch of times. Part of me says part of the time I always think of either outcome, but I am going to say that Finn Bálor is going to become the new World Heavyweight Champion at SummerSlam. And Damian Priest can come out and tease the fact that he could cash in, but he's not going to cash in yet. All of Judgment Day is going to be celebrating with Damian Priest with the Money in the Bank briefcase, Dominic with the NXT North American Championship, Rhea Ripley with the Women's World Championship, and Finn Bálor as World Heavyweight Champion. The Judgment Day holds all the gold. I'm counting Money in the Bank as gold for this case. It would be an incredible visual for SummerSlam, because we haven't seen a stable holding all gold since the Bloodline, and even before the Bloodline, there was a long gap between there as well. So I'm really excited for this outcome, and I think it could lead to incredible things for the Judgment Day. Is there the chance of Seth winning? Absolutely. It's Seth freaking Rollins. And even if he does win, I wouldn't mind that as well. But I really do hope that Finn Bálor gets the World Heavyweight title at SummerSlam. And last, but certainly not least, it is our main event for the biggest party of the summer, Roman Reigns versus Jey Uso, Tribal Combat for the WWE Undisputed Universal Championship. Now, this match has been nearly 3 years in the making. Their pandemic matches from Clash of Champions and Hell in a Cell, even though it's difficult to watch those pandemic matches with the fucking Thunderdome screen crowds, Those are fantastic matches, especially their match at Clash of Champions if you want to go back and watch it before their match at SummerSlam happens. Their chemistry is undeniably amazing. Jey Uso continues to show how good he can be as a singles performer, and they've been building up this story with him and Roman so incredibly well, how after their matches together, they united with Roman Reigns. The bloodline has been dominant for a while. The Usos became the longest reigning tag team champions of all time, beating out the New Day. And once they lost those titles, it then immediately brought the tension with Roman and Jey. And it's all been incredible since then. And I was honestly afraid that I wasn't going to be seeing as good of bloodline storyline work after the feud with Sami Zayn was over. So big props to them for that. And while I would like to say that this is an unpredictable match, I think it's more so obvious, more than even the first two matches that he had with Jey, that Roman is going to be winning this match. And I think most especially because, especially with the matches with Sami Zayn and Cody this year, that plenty of people were sort of convinced that they could dethrone Roman, and they didn't. We're just now at the point to where, yeah, it's just probably not going to happen here. I have always been on board for Jey Uso being the one to dethrone the tribal chief. But I also understand what some other people have said about it, that it should be someone who's really going to carry the company in a more bigger way than Jey Uso. And I guess that can seem fair because it could be more difficult to give Jey Uso a feud as strong as the one that he has with Roman, as opposed to other people that have faced him for the title like Drew McIntyre or Cody Rhodes. So I do understand that, but especially with how long this reign has been and with how meaningful it has been, with how meaningful this world title reign for Roman Reigns has, no pun intended, has been with the bloodline as a unit, I think a member of the bloodline being the one to dethrone Roman would be a really good choice. And while a lot of people are thinking it could be Solo Sikoa, and I do think Solo Sikoa could even be the one to, Solo Sikoa could be the one to dethrone Roman, but I don't think it'd be the best idea. But I do think he should turn on Roman at SummerSlam, or at least build up to it, because I think that's where the next step is going to be for this bloodline storyline. But we should get some incredible spots here. I hope we get an interference from Rikishi. I want to see him do a stink face to Roman Reigns so bad. It'd be fucking hilarious. In all honesty, it's tribal combat. No fucking rules. So let Rikishi do a stink face. Why the fuck not? But this should be a phenomenal match. I don't know if it can be at the same levels of their Clash of Champions match, but I definitely think they have the potential to. They've been building this feud up like gangbusters, and I'm so excited to see the conclusion of this, regardless if Roman Reigns or Jey Uso wins. But I do more so likely think it is going to be the tribal chief, Roman Reigns. So those were my predictions for SummerSlam 2023 and this episode of the Duke It Out Wrestling Podcast. Thank you so much for watching this episode, and please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, and duke out your opinions below in the comments.